I don't own green, which is funny because one of the main channel colors is green. So to make up for it, I'm wearing a New York Yankees sweatshirt. You can do the math on that, it doesn't really work. Anyway, Jaylen Brown and the Celtics are probably headed to the NBA Finals.
That's it, it's over! The Celtics are heading back to the NBA Finals!
And we're going to take a look at the workouts that a guy who makes $50 million a year does in the offseason and see if we can learn anything from that. But for those of you who are new, welcome to Balance Basketball Academy. My name is Jordan. I was a high school basketball player turned college basketball player turned trainer. And today, let's take a look at some workout videos. So on those last 3 shots, Jaylen Brown was working with, it looks like about 2 defenders, just 2 people practicing with him. One playing man-to-man defense up top, so when he's taking jumpers, there's somebody in his face, and then another with these extender pads that is basically acting as a 7-footer trying to block his shot. He's basically working on both lines of defense, and the guys that he's training with are roughly the same size, but they're getting different looks just based on, these little extender pads that he's getting to shoot up against. They're not gimmicky, they are helpful. They do extend the reach of, a dad who can't out-jump his son anymore, or a coach who has a hip replacement, or just somebody who's not particularly tall and you're trying to replicate what a really tall center's contest would be like. These are great. And also, even if you don't encounter anybody who would be quite this tall at the high school level, or maybe you're playing, women's basketball or something like that, it's still really good to practice against, because if you can shoot over this guy, you can shoot over anybody. So a move like that is currently at half speed. That's what the trainer said right before he took one of his shots. This move looks super fancy, and it's really cool. So we have a fake drive that turns into a between, right? Just kind of hesitating. That's what that double between is for, is because you don't really know which direction that the offense is going to go, so the defense typically freezes on a double move like that. You don't know if that move is going to turn into an explosion, or if he's just, kind of holding in place. So double betweens, double behinds kind of do that freeze effect on the defense. Then he's spinning. We're going to continue the play a little bit, and then I'll talk more. And then he's hitting a step back. The footwork for this is a little difficult, because he's spinning into it and then kind of walking backwards. He's not hitting a traditional step back. This is really, really lethal when you actually shift your speed throughout the move. So you drive, you hit the between, but you kind of slow yourself down a little bit, and then you spin really quick, and then you come back into the step back nice and slow. The playing with speed when you're doing a bunch of different dribble moves or just moves in general, that's the stuff that's going to just slaughter a defense, not the move itself. Obviously, there's some guys who can just out-quick you and can just do so many moves that you can't even think. But a lot of guys, especially at the NBA level, they're not that much faster than the guy who's guarding them, and so they have to get crafty with it. They have to change their speed and change their direction in a way that becomes unpredictable. So this move gets really dangerous when he starts hitting you with like a quick, or a slow, quick, and kind of having more of a rhythm to it instead of universal speed for the entire thing. But again, he's going half speed for the entire bit here. When it comes to game time, that's how he dials it up. Boom. Yeah, there's something really key that Brown does on this move that I don't think people talk about quite enough, and it has to do with angles to the rim. So there's something that a lot of players do that ends up becoming detrimental to them when they're driving to the rim, because they make one little mistake after they make a great move to the basket. A lot of times they leave too much space for the defender to get back into the play, which leads them to having a defender in the play that shouldn't be. Instead of dealing with just the second line of defense, they're dealing with their guy and the second line, or they're dealing with their guy when they should have had a wide open layup. And Jaylen Brown doesn't make this mistake on this particular drill. So when he makes his move to drive, he closes this gap really fast. The defender doesn't really have any room to operate because Brown has gotten body to body so quickly. And because of that, the only criticism I would have is that I wish Brown would drop a little lower, get his shoulders a bit lower. But because of that, the defender has no choice but to just open up because there's no angle anymore. They have to let him go by or else it's going to be a blocking foul. And so a lot of players leave a gap when they're driving. They leave a lot of space, and it turns into an opportunity for the defender to be able to reclaim that area and contest a shot or steal the ball or foul you or just do things that are not going to make the game as easy as they could be for you. And Brown, again, making contact and just driving right by, excellent stuff, yeah. For those of you who can dunk, that's a fun drill, I think. I wouldn't know I can't dunk. Go Jaylen Brown. Good for him. Wow. Okay. Well, when it comes to cross-training, swimming is a really great way to train your cardiovascular system in an environment where you're not pounding your feet on the ground, and you're not probably going to get like a severe injury because, again, it's non-contact by nature. You're just swimming in water and it's exhausting, you'd be surprised. This, on the other hand, is like plyometric underwater training. A lot of people were clowning Jaylen Brown on this a couple months ago because they were like, dude should be working on his left hand, not this. If you want to be a Navy SEAL, go for it. Start training this kind of thing. I think it'll be beneficial to you. But you can do this above ground as well. Don't convince your neighbor to let you use their pool so you can do weighted jumps in their pool. Just go to a weight room, you know? But it's pretty cool. It's cool looking. It certainly gets everybody's attention. I couldn't do this because I would freak out because I like being able to breathe whenever I please, and you can't really do that underwater, so. Nice. So right now they're working on a Euro step into a floater. I think the common misconception is that Euro steps always lead you directly to the rim, and if they don't, then they're not effective. Euro steps can be very effective from pretty much anywhere on the floor. Typically you want to end it in a move that's a finishing move, a floater, you know, a little push shot, a layup. And so practicing this is really helpful because trying to defend a Euro step floater, really hard to do. It's also really hard to make. Again, they have these little cone, stand-up trash garbage bag things, but they're not trash, that's not what I meant. They kind of look like garbage bins. He made a floater with his left hand, ladies and gentlemen. Mostly gentlemen. So we're gonna see if I can find an example of the high gather as well, but there's 3 types of gathers that players typically use for finishing. And the first type is just right across the body, from shoulder to shoulder. And so that's what Brown is using right here, and that's what Hood is using right here. Just a little shoulder to shoulder rip through into the floater. The second type is low. There's 3 types of reads, okay? If the defender has their hands at roughly shoulder length, probably best to go low or to go high. We're going to see low in a second. If a defender has their hands straight up, you can typically go shoulder to shoulder and they're not going to be able to reach in and grab it. Or if they have their hands back, like they're backpedaling too far to where they're not going to be able to reach in, shoulder to shoulder is okay. But in the case where they have their hands at their shoulders or nearby, you have to evade those. And that turns into one of the examples, which is the low gather. Boom, boom. And that one is basically under the knees. Those are called pocket jump shots. I do a lot of those as a warm-up, so I'll do form shooting and then I'll do pocket jump shots, especially if I'm working on like a heavy mid-range pull-up kind of day. That kind of drill will teach you how to pound the ball and get it into the pocket with ease and with rhythm. It looks super simple, and it's a really great thing to throw into a warm-up because, again, it gets you ready for more game-like movements in a kind of stationary setting where you're not doing too many things at once. You're just focusing on getting to the pocket. And that drill right there is the progression of the pocket dribble with an in and out into your shooting pocket. Because an in and out is technically a fake crossover. You're faking that you're going one way and trying to move in the other direction. And a lot of times defenses either back up or they freeze. They don't really know how to react to it. So it's a really great move to do when you want to get into a pull-up jumper because it just kind of hits the freeze button on the defense and you can rise into your shot. Great stuff to do. Great progression. That's what I would do next if I were to, work on just the pull-up game for a day. Get into the in and out because that's a game-like move, more so than just the pound pocket stuff. That's more of a warm-up. And the second thing I'll point out with the in and out is that the in and out is not just a dribble move. You have to sell it with your feet as well, and that's what he's doing with just a slight little jab. When he's faking the in and out, he's hitting you with a jab at the same time and then coming back into the shot. So reworking his feet a little bit and coming back into the shot. But an in and out doesn't work if you just give somebody an in and out, but you don't move your shoulders or move your leg or move anything. It's kind of the same thing with a pump fake. If you just pump with the ball, it's less believable than if you rise up a little bit, if you fake with your head, if you have it be more of a full body movement. People buy that you're going to shoot more because shooting is a full body movement. The same thing happens with a change of direction. You're going to do more than just move the ball. You're going to move your hips, you're going to move your leg, you're probably going to move your shoulder, your head's going to move a little bit. Have everything move a little bit and then come into the shot, and that's going to sell the fake a lot more. So good footwork here as we'll take a look at it one more time. Little in and out, pop into the shot. Boom. So our final video today is Tracy McGrady and Jaylen Brown working out together. And for those of you who don't know who Tracy McGrady is, McGrady was one of those guys who was just a professional scorer back in the day and really matches Jaylen Brown's overall attack of the game quite closely, actually. So be interesting to see what they have to offer in this little video right here. Let's begin. Did you notice what he did there? It's very slight. It's very slight. We're gonna take a look at it in slow-mo real quick and we'll see if you can point out what he did. That. It's super minimal. This catch right here is a really great catch into the post-up. Defenders have to be reactionary to whatever the offense does by nature. So the offense is always the one who has the upper hand because they know what they're going to do before the defense does, unless the defense is strong enough that they can force you to do what they want you to do. That's the battle, that's the head game. The first thing that Jaylen Brown does right here is catch with both feet. So we talked about this a little bit in the LeBron video. Both feet so he can pivot either way he wants. He's not committing to one pivot foot. And he's giving a slight little fake to his left shoulder and then coming back. Instead of just catching and turning, he's catching and giving a fake. You'll be surprised how much that can throw a defensive player because they're trying to read every little fake and every little move and thing that you do. And especially if they're, guarding one of the team's best players, they're going to bite on everything because, well, that fake could just be a catch and turn. That's how quick NBA players are. So it doesn't take a lot to lose players and to get open shots. It just takes something convincing. And in this case, Jaylen Brown could also catch and spin to his left from his left shoulder into a shot, but instead he's just giving a little fake and then coming back. He's not exposing the ball, just a little fake and getting into the shot. breaking up your rhythm is really important, because if you move at the same speed all the time, even if it's 100 miles an hour, a defense can play against that pretty easily, because they can kind of pace it. They know exactly, okay, this guy's just gonna just run as fast as he can, which means that I can just go all out and not have to worry about anything else. The most dangerous NBA players, this is why Kobe Bryant was dangerous, is because you can change speed and direction at pretty much any point in time. And you don't know when the guy's going to go 100% or when he's going to just give you 50%. And so playing with that timing, really important. So here, this little hesitation he makes with his feet, right here, makes it look like he's going to shoot the ball. It's just a little hesitation, and we can't see his face, but a little like rise of the eyes to the rim would be perfect to go with that as well. And then he turns it into a one dribble pull-up, right? It looks like a routine turn and shoot, but nope. He's changing speed and he's changing direction in a way that is believable, but also very unpredictable. Boom. See, that time he didn't do it. He just went right into it. And the move becomes less believable. It just becomes a casual half-speed move instead of something that is actually trying to sell a fake or another shot or trying to freeze the defense. That's the difference. It doesn't seem like that much, but it is very important when it comes to game stuff. Well, Tracy McGrady ended up completing the answer to my question for me, showing all three ways that you can rip through by also demonstrating the rip high. All of those are super helpful, again, depending on how the defense plays you. You want to rip the ball where their hands aren't. I know that sounds pretty obvious, but I mean, I'm just going to say it anyway, right? The other thing that he does right here, when he's sweeping over the top, look at his left hand. It's just a slight little push off by grabbing the defender's hand or pushing the hand away, so they can't reach and hit you, and they also kind of are being pushed out of the play. It's a sneaky little trick that NBA players use with their offhand when they rip through or when they cross over and get by. You'll see players using their hand to push the defender just slightly, ever so slightly, out of the play to create that little bit of space that they need to get their shot off, or to get away from the first line of defense and into the teeth of, the people down low so they can make a nice shot or a pass. Yeah, that right there doesn't really work because it's really slow. This isn't a rip high. This is a hold the ball high and then decide to go with it. Defense is gonna be like, you're holding the ball right over your head for me to snatch at, and they're just gonna swipe the ball right out of your hands. This is not what Tracy McGrady was talking about. Tracy McGrady was talking about a rip through, not a hold and then decide to go. No, a rip through and then go. This is a little different than what he was demonstrating, and I would say a far less effective version. Oh, hold up. I know this is a little off topic, but there's a LeBron jersey in the top right. I wonder whose place this is. Anyway. This entire workout has been exclusively mid-range shots. Anybody who says that the mid-range is completely dead in the NBA is not paying attention. The mid-range is usable and is workable for players at any level. It's important. And even a player who would be considered a slasher, like Brown, is not neglecting his mid-range shots or his mid-range moves, because in order to be a really excellent player, you have to be something called a 3-level scorer. And 3-level scorer means you can score at the rim, you can score at the mid-range, and you can score at the 3. And if you can hit a shot from any of those spots on the floor, you become really, really difficult to guard. So certain players who can only shoot threes and only drive have severe weaknesses in their game where they can't hit those little midi shots when the second line of defense is presenting too much of a challenge to hit a layup over. That's what these are. So people saying that mid-range shots are inefficient and a complete waste of time, they're not the primary shot that I think players should be focusing on immediately. I think finishing at the rim is super important, and I think being able to hit, catch, and shoot threes is important. But being able to finish these little mid-range jumpers is super valuable to guys who, again, he uses mid-range, but that's not his primary thing. That's the Jaylen Brown workout, which involved some underwater stuff and then some more conventional basketball workout stuff. So just a nice little palette there, a nice little mirage of colors.
Nice.
All that aside, Jaylen Brown, he's got some good stuff. I hope that you had fun watching this. And for those of you who are new, please like, subscribe. Actually, if you're not even new, you can still like. But if you're new, subscribe. And you know what? Regardless, have a great rest of your day.